and welcome to A Book in 5 Minutes. My name is Lindsay Milner and I'm the owner of Silver and Training and development consultant who works with people to help them to learn to love Mondays and have an awesome day at work. And while I've been engaged in that work, I have read a great deal of books and still continue to read new books as they come out. It's one of my great loves. But I thought it would be interesting to share some of the insights of those books with you. This week's book in 5 minutes is called Rebel Talent, and it is written by Francesca Gino, who is a professor at Harvard University. So this book, Rebel Talent, it's subtitled Why It Pays to Break the Rules at Work and in Life. And what it is, it's a kind of examination of what it means to conform and to break the rules and not conform. Gino examines the relationship between breaking rules and the paradox of, when do you break the rules to good effect and when do you push it too far and it has a bad effect on society. She looks at things like exercising curiosity, always being curious about what's going on and challenging conventional thinking. She looks at how we seek novelty. So when we find something that's novel and a new approach, it tends to have a bit of an impact and make a change on the way things are done. She looks at the impact of diversity, how having more diversity in the workplace turns out to be a good thing. And she also looks at the role of storytelling. The book is a really interesting read. It's very well written, lots of stories throughout it. And one particular story, the way a restaurant in Modena in Italy breaks all the rules of traditional Italian cooking, and it became a Michelin-starred restaurant and won like the best restaurant in the world award, that sort of thing. And the story of the restaurant and the owner of the restaurant and his approach, how he got to where he is, and the professor spent some time there as well studying the restaurant and the way they did things. She's actually Italian herself, so obviously something that was really, she was obviously curious about it, having that Italian heritage and understanding the role of tradition and how you don't break the rules in Italian cooking, but this restaurant just took that rule book and completely tore it up. So that's the story of that is kind of woven throughout the book. She also uses lots of other examples. For example, she talks about, you might remember that plane that actually landed in the Hudson River. So she looks at why did the pilot decide to make that decision and land in the Hudson River, and in the process saved the lives of all the people who were on the plane. Instead of actually following what air traffic control was saying and go to the nearest airport, because he knew that he looked at the perspective of where he was, where he needed to get to, and realised that if he tried to make it to another airport, it wasn't going to end well. So using stories and examples of that throughout, she also uses the example of Ava DuVernay, who is a director, who again, a film director who kind of broke all the rules and managed to break through and do some work in Hollywood, which again is a very traditional and is quite a white middle class male dominated, and as a black woman, how did she break through those barriers and become as well known as she is. She talks about using stories for engagement, and as I say, throughout the book, uses those stories herself. So it's a really interesting read. Who would I say this book is for? I think if you're the kind of person who already breaks the rules, You'll probably find it of interest because it sort of helps you to see that what you're doing and why you're doing it, that she's a Harvard professor, so it's actually based in, sociology and scientific research. So it's interesting from that point of view. If you're the kind of person who doesn't break the rules, but is wondering maybe why you're not as successful in your career as you could be, then I would say also give it a read, because it's very encouraging, it's very supportive and very uplifting. It's, it is an interesting approach to take. So I think it is worth the time, it is worth the effort and investment. I'm not sure I learned anything groundbreaking and new reading it, but then I am quite widely read on these kind of books. So if it's new to you, if you're not the kind of person who breaks the rules, then it's a really good one to start with, because it does give you a really good overview. And having said that, I enjoyed it anyway, even though I felt like I didn't gain a huge amount of new information. It was really sort of well put together and very, very engaging in the way that it's put together. So that is Rebel Talent, oops, sorry about that, by Francesca Gino, a professor at Harvard University. And it's why it pays to break the rules at work and in life. That's this week's book in 5 minutes. Until next time, drop me a comment, let me know if you've read it, what did you think of it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.